with life as if nothing had happened. In our next report, we tell the story of how one man's accident affected not just him and his family, but a whole village. What happened to Jerry Pullman shows how an entire community can be given focus, can be inspired by one person's courage and determination to carry on. In this reconstruction, Jerry is played by an actor, but all the others, including Jerry's father, are the real people, doing what they did before and after the incident. They held a party recently, a celebration for something that 6 months earlier nobody here would have thought possible. In the heart of the Wiltshire countryside near Warminster is the small community of Codford St. Peter. Just as you drive into the village, there's a 7.5-acre small holding. It belonged to Jerry Pullman, who bought it as a start towards the farm he'd always dreamed of owning. Jerry reared cattle and free-range chickens and was building himself a barn.
He's worked very hard. He's put all his money into the cattle and the barn which he's building. And, well, he was hoping to make a go of it. I last see him at lunchtime when I came in for lunch. I didn't know the exact nature of the job he was doing, but I had a good idea where he was. He was either up there completing some of the work or stacking the bells. Well, these bells are a bell which has been introduced in the last couple of years. They're a huge, heavy bell. The straw bells alone weighs in the region of 4.5 hundredweight each. Mr. 5090.
Get ambulance. I'm at the barn.
Door?
Yeah?
Jerry's had an accident. Phone for ambulance, I'm going on at the barn.
Yeah. Oh, there's an accident in the field by this service station at Codford. It's the turn-off from Warminster.
I didn't really know what I was going to find because I wasn't 100% sure what the nature of the job was. It could have been a tractor overturn, could have been the bell as it was, could have been a chainsaw accident, anything of that nature. When I see him to start with, I just said to him, "Oh God, son, what on earth has happened?"
Bale hit me on the head. I think I broke my back.
You do? Can you feel that?
I can't feel nothing. I can't breathe.
You can't?
My belt's hurting.
Hang on. At that particular time, I was very worried. I thought to myself, it's obviously back trouble, spinal problems. And I was hoping, and against hope, that it wasn't the spinal cord.
Can you tell what happened then?
Here's this bell's fallen onto him.
Uh-huh.
And he's got a gash in the head and he's complaining of back
Don't
trouble.
worry, sir, we're here now. Look after him, all right? What's his name? Hello, Jerry. Do you remember what happened?
Bale hit me on the head.
Jerry. Do you feel any pain, Jerry?
In my back.
In your back? I knew that there was a very, very serious injury here.
No.
Okay, leave it there. Now, can you feel me? Now, his father at the time was very, very concerned, naturally enough, and explained to the father that any undue movement could cause more of an injury. Okay, then. Jerry, can you move your toes for me?
No.
Okay, Jerry.
I can't feel nothing.
Right, Jerry. Let's have a look at it again now, mate. There was no movement from the lumbar region down, plus no reaction to pain. And I knew within my mind, if he wasn't handled and careful handling, this boy could be paralysed. The head wound was not a lot of bleeding to it, but I did ask for dressing and also cervical collar this time. In most spinal injuries, this is what we do. We protect the cervical, which is the vulnerable part of the spine, by putting him in what we call a spinal board.
Jerry's legs were trapped by the steering column. They tried to remove the wheel. But the vibrations caused too much pain, and so Pat McSherry knew he'd need more help. He called in the air ambulance from Devizes, as well as the local fire brigade, some of whom had known Jerry since their school days.
Hello, Pat. What have you got? We've got the young lad here with a spinal injury, right? Yeah. His feet is tucked underneath here, underneath the clutch. If it's possible to cut the seat away.
Yes, we can probably cut that
see,
strap there, I should think, Pat, yeah.
See?
And shift the steering wheel.
You can shift the steering wheel,
Yeah,
as you
sure,
say,
sure.
and we can lift him over bodily
Right.
onto a cot.
Yeah, we can probably...
Following the consultation we had with the paramedics, quite clearly the injuries to the back were obviously the most serious. So therefore it was necessary for us to remove him without bending the trunk. And we were able to decide exactly what to cut. As he was in a sitting position, we had to remove the steering wheel and the seat, and we used the air cutting gear, an air-operated hacksaw.
Come on, that's it. His pain was severe, so I explained to him I would give him a pain-killing gas, which was called Entonox.
There was occasions when I felt pretty useless. I felt as if I wanted to be able to do something and I couldn't actually do things.
It's good brew, isn't it?
It is. The more you take, the better you'll be.
Obviously, knowing that he was in good hands, it was a great relief. I had a fairly gut feeling myself at the time, wondering what the end result was going to be.
Lovely. OK. Right, chaps. Clear the equipment away. And then we'll prepare for lift off the back. Right, 1, 2, 3, lift!
We were well aware of the implications if in fact he wasn't handled in the proper way from the tractor. And obviously the thoughts passed through your mind, well, will he walk again?
From that Sunday evening when it happened, the picture was very, very gloomy, very dark. Being honest, my big fear was that probably he was going to end up a cabbage.
Jerry had a flexion injury of his spine, and this produced a force. If I illustrate with the bony model, then this is the dislocation happening, the 12th thoracic vertebra moving forwards on the first lumbar vertebra. And normally the spinal cord would travel in the vertebral canal, and you can see that it is being kinked by the dislocation. There was also a fracture of the first lumbar vertebra. He had what we call a complete paraplegia, in that he had no movement or feeling from about his groins downwards. And I, quite frankly, was rather pessimistic about the chance of recovery.
I knew I broke my back then. I said, you know, let's call it a day. I always wanted to die working. I said, bloody well, shoot me. You know, I'd been quite happy to go on there and then, but everyone was telling me I was talking rubbish, but I'm glad they did now. Everyone knew what they were doing, even though it was sort of an odd accident to come out to. I think they saved me. If they handled me wrong then, I could have been in a lot more trouble now. I was asking the nurses, I didn't know who anyone was, and I said, you know, when am I going to be better? When am I going back to work? And they said, well, you won't be going back to work for a long time. You've broke your back, you know, basically you won't be walking. And I just wouldn't accept it.
Jerry was very determined. He's worked very, very hard, and he's been in a considerable amount of pain. And I know on occasions he's cried with the pain, though he hasn't told me that, but I know it.
I felt my toes coming back, and I said to the surgeon, I said, oh, on the ward rounds on the Thursday, I can move my big toe. And he said, well, good for you. He looked at it and he couldn't see it moving, but deep down, I knew my toe was moving, even though it wasn't.
I thought he was going to go over the top with determination, and I said to him, well, you know, don't go over the top too much. And I even placed him a bet of 50 quid that he wouldn't be walking by his birthday, which is in July. But it matured that he was just on his feet before Christmas.
Sit and take the ball back. Try and get his left side forward a little more. That's it.
Jerry's battle to walk again has already gone on for more than 9 months. At first, every step was slow and painful, but now he's beginning to put his life together again.
Obviously, he's got one or two problems still, but he's going to have problems. We realise that. But everything's been a bonus, and to see him back on his feet again is worth all the money you could give anyone.
Jerry's been overwhelmed by all the support he's had from the village.
Well, it has been really amazing how the whole community got together. You name it, they've done it. And their aim was to get him a quad motorcycle to enable him to get around much more easily.